Well, here we are. The first international break of 2025 is done and dusted, which somehow leaves just 8 final uninterrupted championship fixtures for Queen's Park Rangers to round off the 24-25 season. The final run-in begins this Saturday with a trip to 20th place Stoke City, so joining this preview to talk about his relegation and threatened Potters is Daniel from the Every Step Along the Way podcast, while I'll be giving my thoughts on Rangers at the end as usual. If this is your first time watching or listening to the channel, I'm Connor aka Hoopsa. I produce QPR match previews, reactions, interviews and features, so if you enjoy this one, why not hit like and subscribe? Good afternoon, Dan. How are you doing, mate?
Not too bad, not too bad. I think I'm happy to get the league football back underway this weekend after the international break, but a little bit nervous as well, as you can imagine.
Yeah, of course. It's hard to tell how we'll feel about that until 5 o'clock on Saturday. Obviously, we're here to chat Stoke City versus QPR. When QPR and Stoke last met at Loftus Road back at the end of November, we were rooted to the bottom of the table and the Potters were in 16th. 22 matches later, it's now Rangers that are mid-table and Stoke are hanging 1 point above the relegation zone in 20th. So other than getting a new manager at the turn of the year, what's happened since we last played?
I think we are now suffering the effect of the Narcis Polak reign that was sort of the mid-season. Obviously, we sacked Steven Schumacher early doors, and Polak, as nice a guy as he was, and as much as you wanted him to succeed, he just wasn't there. And I think we maybe let his spell in charge drag on a little longer than we needed to. And I think Mark Robbins, he's taken his time because he's had to pick the players up from a real sort of, right at the bottom confidence wise. He's had to try and build them back up. He's trying to get them fitter, and I think now we are starting performance wise last few weeks to see sort of positive effects from Robbins, and I think we are maybe we were just treading the right direction in that respect. We just need the results now. But yeah, I think it's, like I say, a culmination of all that sort of Polak's reign and time in charge that's put us down where we are.
It's 3 wins in 14 in the Championship for Mark Robbins since his appointment on the 1st of January. It sounds like you're quite patient and understanding with him. Is that sentiment shared in the fan base, or are people starting to panic?
Yeah, I think because we've had so many managers over the last few years, as well as this season, of course, that I think people are wanting to give him that time. And I think we know that the best way that we can maybe get out of the mess we are in is by sticking behind them, sticking behind the team, sticking behind the manager. And I think we also recognise that in Mark Robbins, we have a proven manager at this level. So it's sort of like, if this doesn't go wrong, it's sort of caught. Is it his fault? Because he's shown, at Coventry just what a great manager he can be. I think we've got a good manager. We need to try and get through this season and build. And I think that's the general consensus amongst the supporters, is that he's a manager we can have for the long term, which is about 8 months at Stoke, long term.
I hate to ask, but how confident are you for the final run-in about avoiding the drop?
I think it all hinges for me on these next 5 games. So we've got yourselves on Saturday, Preston, Cardiff, Luton, Sheffield Wednesday, and then after that, the last 3 matches we've got Leeds, Sheffield United, and then Derby on the last day. The last 3 games that against teams who probably will have something to play for. We don't want to be in Derby wanting a result on the last day. So for me, it all hinges on these 5 matches that we've got coming up. I think individually we could win each one, but I don't know. Obviously, we're not going to win all of them. I think we probably need 9 points for the next 5 matches. Can we do that? We haven't really had a run like that all season, so we just need one. I think most clubs have had something, so hopefully we're due one. And hopefully, like I say, the upturn in performances that I mentioned earlier on, hopefully that starts coming through into results. But yeah, I think I'm still confident. A lot of Stoke fans have sort of given up already. Not used to the battle, I don't think. And have sort of just said, we're doomed, we're down. For me, I do think we're in a position where we can still affect it. Still got 3 of the teams Amazingly, 3 of the 4 teams below us we've still got to play, which leaves it in our hands. And like I say, we've got some winnable home games as well.
So what players can do Rangers damage on Saturday afternoon, and where can QPR get at Stoke?
I would say it's interesting at the minute because as a team, the goalkeeper is obviously fantastic for Stokes. Victor Johansson, I think, even in the team that he's in here, has proven himself to be one of the best keepers in the league, if not the best keeper in the league. Shot percentages, and all would say so. So he's solid. We finally found a solid defence central pairing in Phillips and Wilmot. I would say left back is probably somewhere you could get at us. Junior Chamadou at right back stepped his game up recently. But yeah, left back, Ender Stevens is out. We've had Lyndon Gooch there, Jordan Thompson there. Eric Bockat will probably start there. Decent player, but probably better going forward than defensively. Can sort of lapse a bit of concentration in defence. So I'd say if there's anywhere where you can get at us, he's to be there. We're hoping to have Ben Pearson fit in the middle. So him and Berger, a bit of an engineer. And I'm sort of interesting because, obviously you've got Jack Cole back in your midfield. And I think him and Ben Pearson could be a real sort of interesting sort of battle, can't it? Two quite combative players going at it. I think that could, whoever wins that, if Pearson can get the better of that, then I think that plays into sort of Berger's hands then, that we can dominate the midfield and he can start picking passes. And I think if he does that, then we have got some decent quality attacking players in sort of Juno, Manuf and Ali Al-Hamadi if he's fit to play. And obviously Sam Gallagher offers a different threat. So I think, like I say, that for me, Pearson could be the key. I'm thinking Pearson callback battle, and then, like I say, if that allows Berger to play his bits from alongside Pearson, that could help us.
Now, both teams have taken just 4 points from their past 6 games, which doesn't scream that Saturday is going to be a classic. But given where you are in the table, our poor form is a massive opportunity for Stoke City. So let's round off with your score prediction.
I predicted on our podcast tonight a 2-0 Stoke win. Sorry. My co-presenter did go 1-1. And so I think 2-0, but I think the crowd needs to be behind us, and I think we need to get in front early on. I think that's the key. I did post a question to him. I said, if it's 1-1 with 20 minutes to go, everyone's saying how much we've got to win and all this. I said, do you gamble massively? Do you really go for it and risk the point to try and gain the other two? And he quickly retreated into his shell and said, actually, no, I'd take the point. I'm not risking that. I'm not risking a defeat at this stage. I'd take a point and then move on. And I think that is the thing. I think we cannot lose this game merely for the psychological effect it probably have going into the other, like I say, the 4 that they've got in front of and the pressure that it'd build. But I think if we get a good start, I think we'll win. And that's it. I predicted 2-0.
Well, Dan, thank you so much for joining me for this preview, and all the best for the rest of the season after Saturday.
Same to yourself. Thank you.
Big thanks to Daniel for being my guest for this match preview. You can give him a follow on Twitter and check out the Every Step Along the Way podcast via the links in the description down below. So, huge game for Stoke this, and with our similarly poor form, Robins will be eyeing this one up as the perfect opportunity to try and start pulling away from the relegation pack. If that's sounding somewhat familiar, that's because it is, with Stoke beating Rangers 1-0 last season in this fixture in February 2024 under Steven Schumacher to end a 4-match losing run, having won just 2 of their previous 14, securing a very valuable 3 points, which gave them some breathing room from the relegation conversation. Stoke would go on to end the season a place above us in 17th, level on points and with an identical goal difference. Now, the big difference, of course, is at that stage, Rangers were still firmly in the relegation battle in 22nd place, whereas today we're currently 7 points clear, but with that gap having been as wide as 15 points just 5 games ago, we absolutely cannot afford to be resting on our laurels. That's especially important because while our next 6 games look considerably more forgiving than the hellish march that we were served, all of Stoke, Oxford, Cardiff and Swansea will know they still have a job to do to get over the line, and so that's going to make these much harder fixtures than they probably first appear. Funnily enough though, the first game back after playing Leeds before the last international break back in November was Stoke at home, and while the 1-1 draw that played out still wasn't a much needed second win of the season at that stage, it was one of the most important turning points of our campaign. Not only because it triggered a run of just one loss in our next 14 games, but because the outstanding vocal home support for Martí Cifuentes at the full-time whistle, despite our abysmal start to the season, likely played a significant role in keeping him at the club in a time when the board may have once again been considering pulling the trigger. What I'm trying to say is the last 2-week break did us the world of good, and with Rangers having lost 7, won 2 and drawn 1 of their past 10, a similar reset is very much needed here. Not least because once again we've amassed another significant injury pile that hopefully this time off has helped with. Ryan Colley was touted for a return by the middle of March, and if his social media teasing is to be believed, should be ready for a return. Jonathan Varane, absent since Sheffield United with what was initially described as a minor injury and not since spoken about, was the first player looking chipper in QPR's own video on Thursday afternoon, so should be set for a return here. While interestingly, young striker Emerson Sutton is also shown amongst the first team training. Jean Seller was also said to be working towards rejoining first team training himself at the start of March, though he doesn't feature in that video, so this may still be too early for him. West London Sport meanwhile have suggested this week that there is hope that Elias Chair's injury isn't as bad as first feared, but this game will still be too early for him. Outside of injuries, we've also got the suspension of Koki Saito to contend with, as well as all of Jimmy Dunn, Ronnie Edwards, Yang Min Hyuk, Paul Smith and Kenneth Powell having all been away with their international sides, so Cifuentes has some thinking to do to ensure this QPR team will have enough fresh legs in there. Hit the ground running with an away win, and any fears of an end of season wobble will be significantly quashed, but we have to play as directly and as sensibly as we did against Leeds in order to do so, not passive and disinterested like we did at Borough and West Brom. So, score prediction time. 2 teams with 4 losses and just 1 win in their past 6. Is screaming a 1-1 draw to me. Stoke also don't lose a lot at home either, despite where they are in the table, so I just can't see a win here. I'm going to go with 1-1. Please do let me know your own score predictions and thoughts ahead of this one down in the comments below, and as I said at the start, if you're new to Hoopsa, you've enjoyed this match preview, please hit like and subscribe, it really helps me out, and hopefully I'll see you next time for my Stoke City versus QPR match reaction. Come on you Rs!